Hi again guys, this is a much quicker update than expected on the Airfix Mark 1 Escort due to after sanding the body with very fine micromesh and achieving a smooth finish. Unfortunately, I'm actually more than a little dissatisfied with the paint finish this time around. As you can hopefully see there, we've got all kinds of marks and what have you on it. I think this is as a result of the temperatures when I was spraying, because it happened to be a very cold day when I was spraying this, and the paint finish is absolutely terrible. It's much worse than I thought it was originally, and you can see obviously where I've taken off the high spots when sanding it, but there's what looks to be sort of water contamination marks and the like. So this is actually coming quite handy, because one of the little tutorials that I've been planning on doing for some time is how to strip paint on model kits that you want to repaint. Sometimes you buy model kits that have been part painted, and sometimes you want to repaint an old model kit of your own. Now, with very easy to get hold of household items, you can actually strip these model kits back to bare plastic, and they will look almost like they did when they were original bare plastic. Now, bearing in mind this is Humbrol enamel paint. It's a very hard finish. It's as you can see there, it's once hardened, once cured, it's not easy to damage, and scratching at that with my fingernail and it's barely touching it. This has been on the model for the best part of a week, and with enamel paint, after 72 hours it's considered cured in normal temperature conditions. For some reason we're just losing focus on the thing there. Let's get that back into focus. There we go. So this is well over 72 hours, which means it's fully cured. So I need to strip all this paint, bring it back to bare plastic. This is going to take off the paint and the Humbrol enamel primer, the grey primer underneath. And I've got here the bonnet, which as you can see is suffering from the same condition, and I've also taken the middle ridge of the bonnet. You can see I've actually taken the paint off there whilst sanding it. So what we're going to do is we're going to strip the paint, and to strip the paint what we're going to use is good old, straight from your chemist or your supermarket, Dettol. It has to be Dettol brand, not own brand, because presumably there's something different in the ingredients, and own brand stuff, so I'm informed, doesn't work. And being the sort who's not going to waste money to find out, I thought I will just go ahead with Dettol. And when I tried this, it works fine. This one here is an old bottle, and this is a 50-50 dilute with water. Now, some people say you can dilute it even further. When you first dilute it with water, of course, it'll go cloudy. If I shake this up, it will as well. But I'm not going to do that, because you can see at the bottom of that container are little flakes of paint and what have you from previous soaking. But anyway, what you do is you get your Dettol, and you get a container, such as this plastic tub here, that are large enough and deep enough to submerge your parts. If you can, get a range of containers of different sizes, because obviously the smaller the container it will fit in, the easier it will be to submerge with less Dettol. And then essentially we just take the Dettol and plop it over the top, and you'll have to excuse me for a moment. I'll be back with that because I don't have my tripod handy. Well, as you can see, that's the entirety of the dilute bottle tipped into this, and sadly, unlike the chrome, stripping chrome with bleach that you will see in my other video, this isn't a quick process. This will take a few hours, and in some cases you may have to leave a part overnight. I've tried this with acrylic paints and with enamel paints. The only type of paint I've not tried it with is cellulose, although I'm reliably informed by people who have tried it that it strips cellulose fine as well. So what I'm going to do just now, although this has had a good dousing with the Dettol, I'm just going to upend that and make sure it's gone in all the nooks and crannies and crevices and everything, and it's really fully saturated. Ideally I could do with putting more in there, but what I'm going to do instead is actually wedge this up at an angle to make sure that the entire thing is submerged, and hope that my cat doesn't knock it off during the night. And I'm going to leave it here to soak, and then we'll come back with this video tomorrow and I will show you the next process, which if everything goes to plan, is the paint pretty much falling off. So it can be a little bit stinky, so if you don't like the smell of Dettol, do this in a shed or somewhere and put a good fitting secure lid on your little tub like so, and do this somewhere where the smell isn't going to bother you. If you do like the smell of Dettol, all the better. It's the next day, it's not quite 24 hours later, and as you can see, if I give this a little jiggle, you can see that the vast majority of the paint has practically just fallen off that body tub, and in a moment we'll be retrieving it from the Dettol and giving it a bit of a scrub, and the rest of the paint should come off quite nicely. Now, just for the record, this morning before I went to work, it looked pretty much like this, the big chunks of it coming off, and so that would have only been about maybe 8-9 hours in the Dettol. So if you are in a bit of a hurry, it's well worth checking every couple of hours, because some paints it will lift quite quickly. I have stripped old models as well that's had paint on for goodness knows how long, many years probably, and it seems to work about the same regardless of how old the paint is. Here I've got a toothbrush. This is the same toothbrush that I use for cleaning the model sprues when they are fresh from the box with soapy water. I mean, I suppose if you were particular about it, you could keep a separate one specifically for this job. But there you go, there's the bonnet, the hood if you like, which you can see the paint has literally just fallen off of. Give that a bit of a rinse there and pop it on there, and there's the body tub, and you can see, hopefully, let me kind of zoom in a little bit. You can see the effect on the paint. It's literally just shriveled it up, just like using nitromorse. It's amazing. All this is Dettol. This is watered down Dettol. This is 50-50. I've heard some people say you can water it down even more. Just to finish the job off, while it's still in the Dettol, just give it a good old scrub, and you can see that this will remove every last little bit, taking it right down to bare plastic, and the plastic itself is completely unharmed, which is the real beauty of this. This is one of the things I love about stripping paint with Dettol so much. So there you have it. If you need to strip paint on a model kit, whether it's an old kit that you want to refresh and revive a little bit, or whether it's a kit that you've bought ready painted and it's a bit of a shoddy job, as some old kits are, you can get some real bargains, especially if you're willing to buy rare kits that have been painted, and then take the time to strip them and rebuild them and make a nice job. This bit is a bit messy, so I recommend you wear rubber gloves. As you can see, I'm doing so here. These vinyl gloves are ideal for the job and quite cheap when you buy them in boxes of 100. So as I say, the result is straight back to the original factory kit plastic. It doesn't harm your glue joints, it doesn't harm the plastic, it doesn't harm any of the detail, it doesn't melt anything other than the paint. It's all good. The only thing we're left with here, which would be solved by a further soak, if I could be bothered, which I can't, are things like the lines of the door shut. which still have a little bit of residual painting. I'm not going to bother with that, because what I'll do is I'll just scrape a craft knife down there to remove any sort of big chunks. But pretty much that's your lot. So we've got what was a very nice blue Mark 1 32nd scale Escort, now back to factory grey, as it were. At this point, treat this as if it's fresh off the sprue. Just rinse it out under water with some washing up liquid, give it a really good scrub, and make sure the Dettol's all rinsed off for obvious reasons, and make sure that that it's all nice and clean in preparation for repriming and repainting. So so there you are. As I say, you saw that as it went in yesterday with a paint job I wasn't at all satisfied with, and this is how it's come out today, almost like it was in the kit and ready for a repaint. One last thing I will mention is, when you've done with the Dettol, best thing to do is, if you have a sieve that you can keep ideally for this purpose, pour the remainder of the water through the sieve into a clean container. This will catch all the bits of gunk and paint and nasty stuff. Then you can pour that back into the bottle, ready for use again on a future kit. Even though it looks quite mucky and what have you, that will settle out as you saw in the bottle when I first decanted it. So hope this has been useful. Thank you for watching.